Hi,
Hi.
welcome along. Thankful Thursday.
I know. Oh my goodness. And we're up to we care.
We care because that's one of our values, isn't it?
It's totally one of our values.
Definitely care about what you're up to and how you're going.
We
and
do.
we care about each other.
We care. We just care.
We do.
I think it's that whole, and it's quite an interesting value, really, isn't it? Like in terms of what does that actually mean to really care? So what does it mean for you?
Yeah, so I actually had quite a big think about this before we decided to have a chat because I was wondering about it, and for me it comes down to being part of a community, really. So we're in families and we've got groups of friends, but in terms of how we're running our business, Yoga to Transform, we want to transform the world, basically. Nothing too big, just the whole world. And really one of the ways that we do that is by working together to create something bigger than we are. So each of us love yoga, and we've both thought about having a yoga business before, but actually coming together and creating our community of you and I and the people that we've brought in to help us with this is actually bigger than you and I. Isn't it? So it's the idea that we care enough and care about the same things that we're able to create something that's almost self-sustaining. We're part of it, but we're not it.
Yeah, it's just something that comes through us, isn't it? Yeah. And you're like that whole community thing is so important, and it's being there for each other, sisterhood, and really holding. I don't know, like for me, there's that community thing, which is the community of us, and then there's the community that we're creating, and then there's actually the community that we live within, and then there's even the broader community of the whole world, in terms of like being able to see all the problems of the world and not get caught up in them, but also then knowing that if I care enough, I can take little actions on a day-to-day basis that are going to make a difference.
That's right.
Or if I care enough about that person's suffering, that I can hold them and support them through it to the other side, but also not enable. Like I think there's a huge difference. Like caring is not enabling.
Yeah. So it's sort of the difference between sympathizing and empathizing, isn't it? So if you're showing sympathy, which is good at times, but sympathizing means that you're really feeling the same emotions that person's feeling, and you can get sucked into that sort of whirlpool of those emotions. Whereas if you're empathizing, you can say, I understand, or I can see how that's happened, and I understand that it's not so, it's terrible or whatever's going on. But the idea of empathizing is saying you've got the ability to stand a little apart, so your actual emotions aren't on the same wavelength taking a dive. You can stay at the same high vibration without taking a dive.
Yeah. So
we can care, we can create that space for people to hold themselves almost to an account, really, to be able to make the changes they need, and we can be there alongside. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that's the thing, is that whole being able to make the changes that we need, and allowing people the space, because also too there's no need for people to make changes if they're not ready, if they don't want to, but we can just hold the door open as an invitation, right? Like there is a different way. You can see this differently. There is a better way of doing this. Let's explore the fact that we turn a blind eye to these things, and focus more on I don't know, getting more stuff or whatever it might be.
Yeah, that's right. There's a level of interaction with the person rather than the things, isn't it? So we're trying to say we're creating a community of care about how you're going, what your journey is. We're not making any judgments about that. We're not trying to put it into a box or anything. We're just saying where you're at is perfect right now. We care about your journey. We care that the fact that you've made a decision to do some new things or to step out or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we're here to support.
Yeah. And we also care about how the planet's going, how the collective consciousness is going. Because ultimately, like, everything that we're offering is in highest service of the greater good, right? So there's the greater good for you as an individual, but then there's just the greater good of the planet, right? Because if we can, like, help, because our intention is to improve the quality of women's lives, right? That's why we exist. And there's a whole lot of women living some pretty horrible lives out there, and we've been able to get to a point of peace and joy and contentment in our own lives that it's time now to give back. And there's always a turning point in your own journey where you realize that my joy and my peace and my contentment is more about being in service of something far greater than myself, which is what you've said, or being in service of the collective, being in service of the whole, because, you know, the Dalai Lama has said it, and I think quite a few people have said it, is that Western women are the people who will transform the world.
That's right.
But we have to stand in our own feminine power.
Yeah.
And we care about being able to role model what feminine power looks like, because feminine power is, it's mighty.
It is.
And
it's outstanding, yeah.
It is. But we have this distorted view. I see so many women thinking they're standing in their power while they're castrating the men in their lives. I'm like, that's not standing in your power. Like, when you stand in your power, you make everyone around you more powerful. You lift everyone up. And yeah, like, yeah.
That's right. So, you know, the idea of, so I suppose there's a bit like we were talking the other day about the levels in self-love. You know, the same kind of levels with, you know, maybe the first step is to self-care, is to take some steps in your daily life maybe to actually improve the quality of your own life.
Yes.
And, you know, we've done that because we've looked at, you know, maybe meditating daily or practicing yoga daily.
I'm not sure I understand.
Oh, dear me.
Siri's like, you are talking way too deep for me.
Yeah.
I do not understand.
Crikey. So taking the idea of self-care and moving it into, you know, because if you're feeling sad or broken or upset, you know, it's you've got to fix yourself first. You've got to be able to feel that ability to give.
But also too, there's that stepping into the power of the sisterhood, like really having some healthy female role models in your life who give back. Like, I was having this conversation with a friend while we were walking the other day, and you know, there are so many conversations about womanhood and passages of rites of passage and all of that stuff that we just don't have anymore. Because we've all become so separated. We used to have the knitting circles and the crochet circles and the
sewing circles.
So, you know, where those conversations, like grandma would be there with the 10-year-old, and the 10-year-old would be hearing grandma say, all right, everybody, clench, lift your pelvic floor now. Like, they were doing Kegel exercises in the sewing circle because Nana was leading it.
Yeah.
And that information got passed down from generation to generation of women, and we had that sisterhood to lean into, to learn what divine feminine really looks like. But we've moved away from that. You know?
Yeah. So the idea is choosing your friends wisely, listening to good podcasts, going to lectures, all the things that help us, you know, find that power and that care for ourselves, and then the collective care, isn't it?
And the care for others. And I think, you know, research about depression tells you that if you're not feeling happy, do something of service for someone else.
That's right. And as you age, be in contact and again the service with other people, because that will keep you connected, which is really a care for yourself and for others, isn't it?
It is. And there's I think there's like through the self-care you feel better. Through the self-love you feel better. You start stepping into a higher vibration where you start kind of going, I feel so good, I want to share this with everyone else.
And that's the care, isn't it?
And that's the care. I want to hold these people while they move through what's holding them back from really fully experiencing life at its best for them. And then, heck, now I really want to hold I want to get involved in a cause and I want to make a difference. And that's the kind of levels of care. It's not about like, oh, I'm getting my massage and so therefore I care. That's a good starting point. But how do you give back? How do you get out of the being so caught up in what's happening in your life that you can start seeing what's happening in another's life and give them the empathy and the support that they need? Or how can you turn around to a sister who's one step behind you and give her a hand to say, hey, I've walked this path, let me take you on the journey.
Let me stand beside you as you go on yours.
How do you care about the women who are living, we're very privileged, less than privileged lives, and how do we do something about transforming that for them in other countries where they don't get the same rights and freedoms that we do?
That's right. So it's our second to last value, isn't it?
It is.
Expect miracles will be another one coming up soon.
Can't wait.
Anyway, that's the end of today's Thankful Thursday.
Namaste.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Namaste.